Hey everybody, Rodney Miller here with Hard Money Partner, and today I am talking with Justin Foster with Fixed Properties. Justin is a real estate investor full-time, quit his W-2 job. He's got a partner, Joel Cadlick, and together they are taking over the Tulsa market. And so I want to talk to him a little bit about kind of how he got into real estate, kind of what he sees in the market coming up, and just kind of we're just going to have a little discussion about what's going on in the real estate market with Justin as partner and see how things are going in Tulsa. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks for having me on the show, Rodney. I'm looking forward to it.
Appreciate it. Where are you? You at your house?
Yeah, this is my office above the house, and fortunately, I don't have my little kids down there, so they're not going to be interrupting our conversation. But normally, there's not enough sound barrier here for the noise yep. Down there. It's kind of my sanctuary here.
Cool, man. Cool. And where you don't live in Tulsa, right? Where do you live?
No, we live on a farm outside of Tulsa in Broken Arrow. So kind of going out south of Tulsa. We live on 30 acres and we've got chickens, goats, cows, and we grow kids and weeds out here. And it's just
you're growing weeds.
You say no weeds, not marijuana. But that would be an interesting conversation and a different show.
There you go. Another business topic we could talk about.
Yeah.
Interesting. So do you get up at 5 a.m. and go milk the goats? And
Dude, man, I'm trying to train my kids to do it, but I've yet to be able to get them on the morning chores like they need to be. But we're on our way. Well,
how old are your kids?
My oldest is 5, so he's just now getting to the age where he can go out and grab the eggs and feed the dogs.
Yeah. Let them get a little bit older, and you can send them out there early in the morning and do all your heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, it's good to talk to you, man. Let's start off by talking about kind of your past and kind of how you let's go before real estate. Kind of what were you doing before real estate, and you kind of just tell us about your life.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I grew up in South Texas, and I was fortunate. I don't think growing up I realized how fortunate I was. I think a lot of people have that experience. But, my dad invested, my grandpa, all he does is trade the market and has for the last 30 years. So he's a full-time investor. And I remember my dad, when I was in high school, got the game Cash Flow after he read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we'd sit around and we'd play Cash Flow and that sort of thing. So investing was always a conversation going on. But there wasn't a whole lot of intention for me to say, like, man, when I grow up, I want to be a full-time investor, or, for me early on to really jumpstart my investing game. I think it's always a regret that you don't start earlier just because of the time value of money, And so what I did was I went to college in Colorado, and then I got into the oil field, and I was making good money. And I didn't know how to manage money very well. And so I was really good at spending it. And, I'd be on a rig, for 30, 40, 50 days, come home, spend a whole bunch of money, and then go back out. And during that time, after about 2 years of doing that, I just realized, man, I haven't done nearly as much with all this money that I'm making as I should have. And being still a kid, 22 years old, getting right out of college and making 6 figures, you don't know how to handle that, or I didn't at least. And so I had some growing up to do.
How old were you at the time?
22, 23.
Yeah.
But I mean, I knew how to work hard. I was working hard for that money. I just wasn't investing.
That's not hard work. Working on a rig? Come on, man.
North Dakota, North Dakota and Wyoming. And, I'm probably talking it up more than it was. I was one of the guys in the shack, but I wasn't as roughing it as hard as those guys on the rig. But anyway, and that's a story of a lot of people in that industry. They don't have a lot to show for it, but the guys that are smart, they do, and they set aside the money, and they live lean, and they have a higher savings rate and that sort of thing. So I actually got burnt out, and I decided that being in the oil field on the rig wasn't for me, and I kind of quit my job. And it was at that time that I met my wife. And I just really started, I went from making all this money to not making anything. And I really started to learn about just how to budget and real simple, basic things. And then that was in basically 2011
Okay.
when all that happened. And from there, it's just been,
how long did you do the oil rig thing?
for about two and a half years. Yep.
Okay, 2.5 years.
Yep.
And then you quit
Mhm.
and decided you were going to find something else.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't care. I actually went back to school. I did a little bit of coursework study and
You had a little money tucked away, I guess.
yeah, I got into some, yeah, I mean, I had some money, you know, but like, I wish that this was 2011, 12 in Denver. I was in Denver at the time,
Okay.
and I was looking at buying some real estate, and I didn't pull the trigger. And I just look back at that and like, God, I wish I would have done that. You know what I mean? That,
Same here.
you know, and so it was more of a entering into a season of a lot of learning, you know what I mean? And just trying to get my habits down, my finances down, and really a matter of stewardship is the way that I look at it for me. And so I met my wife at the time, and I married over my head. And so she kind of brought me along, and, you know, we had this little duplex that we lived in just half a side in Denver. And, you know, we lived in Denver for, I guess, about 3-4 years. And I decided that it was time to get back into the oil and gas industry. My older company had reached out to me to do some contract work, and that led to a job in Tulsa. And she's from Tulsa.
Okay.
So it was kind of this, you know, we had planned on settling back out here and moving away from Denver. So we moved out here, and then we kept that half the duplex as a rental, you know, and we were landlording from the distance pretty much by accident.
Gotcha.
And, you know, at that point, I guess I was 27, 28, and this was in 2017 or so. And I started to get a lot more clarity on, man, I don't want to be doing this oil and gas thing. You know, I'm back in the game. I'm back in the W-2 now. And, you know, I was a pretty good employee, but I just didn't like working for other people. And so what's going to be my vehicle, right? So I found real estate. I revisited Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
And it all just kind of clicked for me, you know, 3 years ago, right? It just really clicked. And so at that point, I started to strategize, make a plan. How many units do I want? You know, how are we going to get there? And we ended up selling that duplex in Denver that provided us, you know, enough cash to make our first investment in Tulsa, which was a little nice triplex next to downtown. And from there, we just started buying property, like as much as we could get our hands on. So
did you have a strategy, like you're going to like buy a rental property, or you were going to fix and flip, or you were going to
here rentals? You know, I was in my W-2. I had a good income. I had access to, you know, the 30-year fixed mortgage.
Okay.
So for the time being, you know, I wanted to max out those, and so I was buying from wholesalers predominantly, or good deals off the MLS on the side. So, you know, I wasn't buying at the very rock bottom prices, but there were numbers that worked. You know, I mean, $200-300 cash flow a door after all my expenses, and just, you know, I got comfortable with it. So then we started scaling that up. So it's been predominantly for me, just having some capital to invest earlier on, you know, buying the assets and holding them long term has been my primary strategy. And that's up until this point. So we were able to buy enough and build up enough of a portfolio that I could quit my job. And I quit right before COVID hit, actually, kind of planned that exit. And since then, it's been, I would say, a really lean level of financial independence. You know, sure. I mean, I could cover my grocery money and, you know, live pretty lean if I needed to on the income. Yeah. But, you know, I wanted to be doing more. Like, I've got energy. I want to grow a bigger portfolio than what we have now. So we're in a growth mode, and we're doing a lot more flipping. We're doing more wholesaling, and doing more kind of creative joint venturing and deal structuring to build up our business. So it's kind of it's evolved, you know, over the last 3 years pretty quickly. Yeah.
So do you remember the day you quit your job? Or do you remember that, you know,
yeah,
we were telling all your coworkers, hey man, I'm going full time into real estate. What was that like?
Man, they thought I was crazy. I had a cush job. Look, man, I was a sales guy in the oil and gas industry. My job was to take guys out, go play golf,
Oh, wow.
take guys to lunch. And I was on the drilling side. So I was dealing with, you know, engineers and vice presidents and small oil and gas companies. And I just, the more real estate I bought, the more I couldn't stand it, which sounds crazy because it's such an easy job that I
Yeah.
could have just rode that for a long
Still a
time.
job though, right? It's still
Yeah.
a job.
It's a job. And there's a lot of, I knew like I'm working on my fortune on the side, and all I want to do is work on my fortune, right? I don't want to be working
Sure.
on, somebody else's fortune. So, I mean, they kind of, it's interesting. At the end of my job, I didn't care as much, the more kind of FU money I had piled away, the less I started caring. So I'd be in these meetings with these managers and stuff, and I'd just be speaking my mind. Like everybody's walking on eggshells, and I'm like, this is stupid. Why are we doing it like this? And for some reason that like got some respect. And so kind of had the opposite effect. It sounds crazy, but it's
You're in
almost
that
like
movie Office Space.
Office Space, exactly like that. Man. It's how it felt.
The company. That's hilarious.
Man, I'll tell you, dude, I actually was trying to quit. I was trying to get laid off is what I was trying to happen. And
He's a pain in the ass. Let's just lay him off.
Yeah. I mean, and so it was kind of a weird experience because of that. But in all honesty, I don't think they believed me when I said, hey, here's my exit plan. And I kind of gave them a couple of months of warning, and, and then I just put in the notice and said, hey, this is it, I'm done. And they, mouths open. I mean, that's how that went down.
Wow. So have you thought about going back to these CEOs and presidents of oil companies for private capital to fund some of your deals?
I haven't needed, I really haven't needed to. And, and that my focus has been finding the deals. Right. Yeah. And so what I'm finding is that as I find the deals, the money finds me. Truly, that's been the experience. And so where I was hitting base hits before, and that money could have been like really useful to me on these base hit deals, I'm really trying for things that I'm buying, trying to hit home runs as much as I can. And so there's a lot of money in the market right now, I'm finding,
Oh yeah. And if you find good deals and you're into them right, the money will find you, right?
Yeah. And so, but I wasn't in that place where I had the time to go find those deals like 6 months ago. So it's all about like, what do you have? What kind of resources do you have? Do you have money? Do you have time? Do you have the ability to get the deals, or do you have the experience or whatever? And it's hard to have all three.
Sure.
You're always needing something of one of those, it seems like. So that's just the season that I'm in right now.
But that's a good segue to how you found your partner, because partners can bring something to the table that you don't have time to put into. And so tell me how you partnered up with Joel and how you guys split your duties and who focuses on what and how you do it.
So Joel is, he's been in the wholesale game in Tulsa for the last 2.5 years. Okay. And just a really solid guy. And I've bought deals from him before. And once I quit my job, I was kind of talking about my plans. He was in the space where, in transition away from his job, he was looking to quit his W-2. So he just did that as well. So we were kind of this similar season, and just had a lot of alignment. Everything that he wanted to do, I was doing. And so we just said, well, man, this would be a lot of fun if we do it together. I think that you can easily build up a portfolio by yourself and get the deal flow and be full time. I am having a lot more fun doing it with another guy. Like, yeah. I mean, I'd say that's the main thing, Ronnie, right? It's like, it's just fun to, if you click with another person and, the structure works and both parties can be happy. It's more fun to not do it solo, I think.
Yeah, if you find that right partner, it's hard to find a good partner, somebody you trust, you get along with, and you guys kind of can work together well. But being an entrepreneur is a lonely business, man. If you don't have a partner, entrepreneurship and being a real estate investor, without a partner, it's kind of a lonely business. You're doing a lot. You're kind of in a little bubble there. You're not going to work every day. You're not around coworkers, people. I mean, you're on contractors and you're buying
Sure.
and selling and all that, title companies and all that, but there's a
Sure.
lot of, and you can get a lot more done when you partner up with somebody. And you guys
Yeah.
probably have your strengths and your weaknesses, and you probably complement each other. And that's another
And
good
so,
deal.
yeah, that's exactly the case, man. I mean, at first we were pretty cautious about it. Like, hey, well, let's maybe just try something out. Let's joint venture on a few deals and see how that goes. And we kind of had some metrics like, well, if we get this much deal flow, and it goes this well within a 3-month time frame, then we'll look at doing it, 50-50 all the way. And we just blew the numbers out of the water right out the gate. We were just able to get way more done, and we just said, okay, this is a green light. This is working really well. And it's very complimentary. Like I'm more of a strategy thinker guy. He's more of a, get it done doer guy. He's a Marine, and I've got a lot of respect for him. I think he's got a lot of respect for me, and it's a mutually beneficial thing. I mean, we believe kind of in a go-giver mentality. And so I think in a partnership, I've heard it said that the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. And I think that's wise. I mean, I can see a lot of these things failing. And
A lot of partnerships do fail, probably more than succeed.
sure. But I think if you've got the right mentality, like if you're going to be a go-giver to another person, like he's cherry picking some really good deals, man. And I'm like just clapping him along, man. That's a good one. You just take that and keep it for yourself.
Yeah.
And so he's doing the same thing for me. And so it's win-win,
Good deal. So how much time do you guys focus on like the transitional part of the business, gobbling up properties, advertising, getting deals and fixing them up and all that, as opposed to strategizing and setting goals. And, when we get to this level, we're going to bring on an acquisition person. We get to this level, we're going to growing the business part. Do you guys kind of separate the two out?
We do. In terms of like doing, working on your business instead of in your business, or however you want to say it, the strategy piece, that's been the most fun thing, man. Like, I mean, I was the doer W-2 guy for years as an employee. I didn't get to be the guy at the top that's casting the vision, making the goal, making the decisions and pulling the strings. And now it's like, I don't have anybody telling me I can't do that.
Sure.
And so I geek out on that. I just love it. I love the strategy. And because we're in this pretty kind of hyper growth mode, we're branching out into multiple markets. We're, flipping 3 properties at once right now. We've got a lot of deal flow coming down our pipeline. I mean, we're having to do a lot of both, and it's been a challenge.
Yeah.
But I would say we're definitely spending more than 50% of the time on strategy, which is,
oh, that's huge. That's good, man.
it's maybe even more than what's sustainable, but just in the startup kind of growth phase, it's what's necessary. I mean, I'm not real sure, man. I don't know how this is going to pan out, but I'm hiring some people. I mentioned to you when we first talked that I'm looking forward to having an assistant. She's getting onboarded right now.
That's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And is she an assistant for you or for both of you? How's that going to work?
So right now it's to manage the properties that we have. So we've got 35 properties under management that my wife and I own. And so that's where she's going to start out. But, we want her to be kind of the closing coordinator for, our flipping and our wholesaling and everything else. And so pretty quickly, we're hoping that she can take on, anything that we can systemize and hand off. We want her to be receiving that delegation. So, that, I don't know if that answers your question. It's all over the place right now, but we're not compromising on working on the business. We're definitely.
You totally answered my question.
And so
a lot of planning, a lot of thinking forward. How are we going to grow this company? And it sounds like you guys are a growing company, like you are.
But it's on overdrive, right? I mean, we're working a lot of hours right now to make that happen because there's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of stuff still to do, and just.
Hey, you're young, man. You can do that. Put in the hours, man. Put in the hours.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm still putting in the hours. I'm an old.
I can tell, man. You're not slowing down. I mean, it might be a little bit more passive for you, but you're still.
There's not much passive about my life right now.
Yeah.
I try to get passive, but it seems like I get up and run every day, man, and go all day long. So You
Yeah.
know, when you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't matter. You don't. It's not work, right? It's like you don't mind going
It's
long
not,
hours.
it sounds so cliche, man. And I hear people say that, but I've never experienced more of that in my life, just in the last 3, 4 months, where I'm like actually looking forward to what I'm going to do. Then I can't wait to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start plugging away at my stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
It's kind of a weird thing. I mean, you know, I'm second guessing. Am I a workaholic? It's like, no, man, I love what I do. Like I'm loving it.
I think you
I'm
boil it down
enjoying
to one word, and that's freedom. You have
Yeah.
freedom, ultimate freedom to do as much as you want, and go as big as you want, and it's exciting, man. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun stuff. So, what do you think is going to happen with the economy and the housing market in the next couple of years? What do you see coming down the pipe? Do you see any big changes coming down? I mean, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know, but we're coming off a 12-year freaking, crazy run of real estate, the stock market. What do you see in the near future?
You know, the answer truly is I don't know. I don't know, man. And I'm not a market timer.
Yeah.
I guess my philosophy is, somebody said it and I've latched onto it, is don't wait and buy real estate, buy real estate and wait. And so, if the numbers and the analysis is good for me, then I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. That being said, I do like to listen and read and try and pay attention to market trends and try and understand, how the whole system is working and what's at play. And so just, what I've done and in terms of reading and studying up on it is that, these things come in cycles, and I haven't seen the cycles like you have, Rodney, or other veterans have. But the number one thing is, like, I want to make sure that I can weather a cycle as much as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. So I think since there's a lot of uncertainty right now, that means that asset prices could, definitely go down. And I want to be in a situation where I'm prepared for, worst case scenario with all my renters. Am I going to be able to, keep this thing afloat for 6 months, a year?
Yeah.
And so I've been thinking about, in the last 6 months, survival mode. What is survival mode for me? What kind of emergency money do I need to have set aside to feel good? Mm-hmm. And then the second thing I've been thinking about is, if you do have a downturn, I want to be prepared in order, to capitalize on that to the best of my ability. So,
yeah. Where would you say your rentals fall? What category do they fall into? Are you doing the bread and butter stuff, where your workforce labor folks can afford to live in them? Are you doing the high end stuff? Are you doing?
I'm kind of in between. Yeah, I don't have really low, but I don't have really high end. So it's more of a B class. A lot of my rentals, I'll put in granite countertops.
Okay.
And, a lot of my tenants could be like first time homeowners type of thing.
What's an average rent for you for one of your houses? Are you breaking 1,000?
Yeah, 900 to 1,100. So I'm right at $1,000.
All right.
And then the multifamily stuff that I have, a lot of them are, closer to inner city and hotter pockets and that sort of thing. And so those duplex might be at 700-800 or something like that. The 2-bed 1-baths. That sounds really cheap, but I mean, Oklahoma. I mean, you got an idea of what that is. And
that's expensive in Oklahoma. Like my average rent's $750 a month. I got a lot of 3-bed 1-bath on the south side of town.
Yeah,
they're nice, clean little houses, but they're just your bread and butter things. And I'll tell you, in 2008, when the economy, when the values dropped and the bankers pulled back and all that, our houses stayed full. And then shortly after that, rents started going up because a lot less people could get financed into houses and stuff. So we didn't get hurt at all. If the people that get hurt are the ones that have to refinance out or they have to sell, and if you don't have to do that, if you're just collecting rents and you got the bread and butter, you're not going the real high end stuff, those usually stay full. They're pretty solid. So if you can have money anywhere in a downturn, even a depression, recession, that's probably where you want your money to be,
Yeah, I mean,
low, medium in houses, and then mobile home parks is good too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, affordable housing, is I don't see there being any less demand, in the future. I see demand rising, um, and there's a macro piece of that too, with just being in Oklahoma. People are coming here, so real estate's a local thing.
Sure.
We're not on the East Coast. We're not in California.
That's another thing. There's just when we underwrite, apartment buildings, like when we're buying in Tulsa, you look at the migration of folks, what's going on with your rent growth, what's going on with your population growth. And it's just these East and West Coast people are figuring out that they don't want to live in those situations anymore. And they're all flooding to the South and the Midwest. Mm-hmm. They're all and it's speeding up. I think more people are coming now. And so it's driving our rent growth. It's driving our occupancy rates up. And we're all benefiting from that down in the South and in the mid-South. So, that's a great point. These are great areas to be investing in rental properties right now, because this is where everybody wants to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I always like to, think about what are my assumptions, right? What am I hinging my bets on and everything like that. But I'm very optimistic after I get through all that, very optimistic about owning real estate with everything that's going on right now. If we have a lot of inflation, with the way that affordable housing is where we're at locally, and there's just owning assets, there's a lot of money that's trying to get into it right now, and if you got into it, certainly when you've gotten into it, and then even when in the last 3 years, you've seen pretty big moves, and I don't see interest rates going down in the next 2 years. Are going up in the next 2 years. I don't see I see inflation being a significant piece of the story as well. So,
which helps real estate and helps these cash flowing properties. So, yeah, I follow a lot of economists, and they think we're going to have a big recession in the next few years, and this COVID thing might have sped it up, even probably a depression at some point, and then massive inflation or deflation, depending on who you listen to, due to the fact that we're just printing so much damn money. It's just the value of the dollar keeps dropping. For the first time in my life, I bought gold. I bought gold in March.
That's good, man. You did good in March.
I did really good. My wife was pretty impressed with my skills. I was like, I got lucky, but we got some gold.
You saw something, man. You saw something.
If you start listening to these economists like Peter Schiff and some of these guys, they'll tell you what's going on in the world. They'll tell you about, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know we're printing money like crazy to bail ourselves out of every situation. The more money we print, the value of our dollar goes down. There's other economies in the world. China might go to the gold standard here pretty soon. There's all kinds of things going on, and you got to get ahead of it. So, yeah, man, bought gold for the first time, and gold and real estate and hard assets is where you want to be. And I think you're right. A lot of money's chasing that stuff right now.
Yeah. And there's a reason, and it's because of that. Another guy who says, Ray Dalio came out with this saying, instead of cash is king, cash is trash right now. If you got cash, you're sitting on trash, because they're making more of it. Yeah. And they're not making any more land though. So
exactly. Cash is the scariest place to be right now. It's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But, I've got some cash in my IRA that I need to get out into some real estate or something here pretty soon. But that's a scary place to be. So let's fast forward 10 years from now. You're going to be 25 years old.
Yeah, and maybe a grandpa.
What's your life look like, man? If you could pick the perfect life, what are you doing in 10 years?
Oh man.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, sure. Well, I got this farming thing going on, and it's part-time, but in 10 years, I want to be, just able to do whatever I want, and I guess I'm kind of almost there now, but I'm not really there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess financially, I sort of see myself set up to where there's multiple streams of income coming into this one channel that completely takes care of mine and my family's needs.
Sure.
So, man, I'm the kind of guy that I pick up something new every, 6 months, it seems like, right? And for now, I'm committing to this vehicle for 2-3 years,
Sure.
and I'm going to hammer that out. So for me to tell you, in 10 years, exactly what I'm going to be doing, it'd be like impossible. I think it's going to be badass. So,
I got another question for you. What does retirement mean to you? If you're retired, what does that look like someday? You kind of
yeah,
ask
man.
with all these vehicles coming, giving you cash flow and giving you.
Sure.
Do you think you'll ever just
No, I
fish all
don't see
day
how I
and
sort
sleep
of,
till noon?
my wife kids me about this because I'm like, yeah, early retirement for financial independence. And she's seen me go through this process, and I'm like right at the start of it all, in terms of quitting my W-2 and everything. But she's seen me work harder than I've ever worked in my entire life. Like, you know, it's not like we're sitting around sipping pina coladas and stuff. And so she's kind of spoken into my life a little bit to say, look, you're talking about all this retirement and passive income, like we're all going to be sailing around the world and on a beach somewhere or something like that. The truth of the matter is like, you're not going to stop. At the end of the day, the game though, cash flow, if I could come back to that, you're in the rat race, and this is all just a game, man. It's just a game. We're buying houses and you make an X amount of cash flow. It's X amount of return. You have X amount of equity. You sell it 4, 5, 10, 15 years later. You get that cash, you buy some stock, you invest in some notes, and in all of that stuff, it's a game, right? I mean, at some point, I think that there's wisdom in saying, I don't have to play the game. I can go do whatever I want. And maybe that's something different. I mean, we've done some nonprofit stuff before. We try to give, to some nonprofits here in town that are important to us and, elsewhere. And so I'd love to be kind of focusing my energy and kind of doing what matters. I mean, that's what I think about me, in 10 years, I want to be successful just so I can be significant. So
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's the way things evolve for a lot of folks. You do reach that point to where you don't have to do this stuff anymore, and then you can start giving back, whether it's helping other people come up or giving your time to your church or going overseas and doing mission trips, or whatever it is. I got a buddy that's 55 years old. And he did real estate. He also day trades and does really well, and decided to go back and become a PA.
It's awesome.
Just because he wants to go over and just spend his time and doing mission trips and helping people out. So, once you have that income coming in, you can do whatever you want. It's kind of a cool thing. Yeah. Chances are you won't stop. You probably will keep doing something. You're not just going to sleep in every day and sit on your front porch and wait for the Grim Reaper to show up. You're going to keep moving, keep trucking along. It gets in your blood, man. You enjoy the game, doing deals. I've described it as a game too. It is a game. It's just a big game of Monopoly, and it's fun to play. So,
and then in entrepreneurship, I think if you're focusing, what I'm learning is like I've thought about real estate just purely from an investment standpoint, and lately I've been thinking of it from an entrepreneur standpoint, and that's fun. It's just fun to be an entrepreneur for me. Love the risk. I love the strategizing, like I said. So, I don't want to turn off the businesses. And this, you're a business owner, man. I mean, if you can have a business, the returns that you can get on a business, if you can make that business work, are huge. You can sell that business. And so what I'm learning is to kind of mesh those two, investing and entrepreneurship into one, for me, as far as like how I'm approaching investing and building a business.
Sure.
I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we can end it there, man. It was good talking to you. It was awesome. If people want to get a hold of you, how would they reach you?
Yeah, so you can check us out. Visit us at Home Buyers. I'm sorry. Let me. What's our investors site? I don't want to mess it up.
HomeBuyersTulsa.com.
HomeBuyersTulsa.com, and reach out to us. We've got deals that are coming in. We're breaking into the Oklahoma City market too. So all over Oklahoma right now. And personally, I mean, anybody can email me, Justin@cultivatehomes.com, and that's our flipping business and property management business. So.
Justin, you are rocking and rolling, my man, rocking and rolling. And when you come to Oklahoma City, you need to look me up. I think we're gonna have lunch or something. And
Yeah, we'll do lunch, man. I owe you for sure, and I really appreciate it. I don't take it lightly, man. Having the time that you've carved out for me is
no
I'm
problem.
really grateful for it.
No, man, you've taught me some things, man. You're a sharp dude, sharp dude. Well, I'll catch up with you here in a few months, and we'll do a follow up and see how things are going with you, man. How's that sound? See how if you've broken into the Oklahoma City market. Let's see what's going on with you. Maybe we'll get your partner on this next time.
Yeah, that'd be good. He'd love to. He'd love to
Okay.
for sure. We'll do that.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Okay.